Hello everyone, welcome to my pitch presentation of my Worldbuilding project story, Cartridge Cat. And to start off, we got the logline. In a world lit with artificial light, a young serval finds and devotes herself to a love interest, hoping for them to have mutual feelings, leading her down to a harmful path that causes her to get abdominal replacements she cannot afford. Sooner or later, she'll face the consequences of her action as debt collectors track her down to get their money back. This is the introduction of the cast. Not all characters are listed, just the main ones of the story. First, we got the main character, Miyu, an anthropomorphic serval in her early 20s, working as a middle-class accountant. She has a shy and reclusive personality and constantly overthinks. After she falls in love with an older Arctic fox and tries her best she can to get approval, leading her down to her own destruction, in which she has taken so many harmful drugs that she has to get cybernetic surgery to survive. She has a machine-like and a natural-looking cybernetic replacing her abdomen later in the story. The second character is Lyra. It is the character Miyu likes, an Arctic fox in their mid-20s that lives as lower class and works at a night bar. She has a charismatic and free personality and enjoys spending nights around others and partying. The most likely to talk back when someone is rude. Enjoys being in relationships, but they usually end up being unhealthy and never learns from their past mistakes, and is the one to introduce gambling and drugs to Miyu. Sven is the boss of the debt collectors, chasing Miyu, a small anthropomorphic ferret that has a professional and collected disposition. To him, tracking down Miyu is just another part of the job. Dresses more professionally despite living in the slums and takes his work very seriously. In the slums, money is everything, even resorting to violence is the norm for him. I chose this name for this character a while ago, so I might butcher the pronunciation, but it's Veniamin, a senior debt collector that works for Sven, a quiet, tall borzoi, unknown personality outside of work. He doesn't enjoy his job, but it's the only way he can make money. And we get into the drugs. There are a lot of drugs in this world, but these are the two main ones. Stack and Bloom, Stack/Bloom, a strange hallucinogenic liquid that can cause arterial damage in when injected into bloodstream when it is still impure. And milk, a more common street drug that is ingested through the mouth and can cause crystalline-like structures to form within like intestine and digestive tract, causing internal bleeding. The synopsis for the story. Act 1, Miyu, a middle-class worker, finds her way down to a night bar in the slums and meets Lyra. She falls in love with Lyra, but only watches them from a distance, nervous to talk to them. Lyra befriends Miyu and introduces her to drugs and gambling, which she willingly gets into to be closer to her. Despite warnings from Mark about Lyra, Miyu refuses to listen, and the two begin dating in the end. As Miyu spends more time gambling and doing drugs at night more than working, begins to be more inactive during the day, with debt slowly stacking up. Vivian noticed Miyu not doing well, and Miyu hides the truth, but she tries to look into into why Miyu is behaving strangely. Miyu eventually does so much damage to herself that she has to undergo major surgery and get cybernetic replacements for her abdomen. She takes out a huge loan of money and her debt increases even more to the point where debt collectors notice this and see it as a problem. The debt collectors start tracking down Mia and kidnap Lyra as a ransom. Veniamin finds Miu, but shows empathy and agrees to help Miu get Lyra back. The next part of the story is censored for as spoilers, but eventually Veniamin and Miu leaves to In the summary, I feel like this story reflects on some relationships that aren't healthy at all, even if harm wasn't intended at all. For example, I feel like this story is based off a lot of harmful behaviors my past partners had despite me shrugging it off because of my feelings for them. The lesson I'm mostly trying to say that being there for someone is important, but you shouldn't heavily rely on them, vice versa. Work past the problems instead of avoiding them. And that is it for my presentation. I hope you enjoyed.